We're seeing this massive data proliferation from traditional structured data. We've been spending a lot of time in recent years looking at behavioural data, particularly in the online world, and that's very enriching of information about the customer and merging that with the actual transactional side of things as well. Now the social side adds that attitudinal aspect to it, less structured, and more about motivation, more about belief. So it's more fundamental, really, inside about the customer. I'm still fascinated by the difference there is between what people will say and what people will do. So the behavioural side against the attitudinal side that you get through social media, I think is incredibly rich, and we're looking to bring those two pieces of information together to help businesses take smarter decisions. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there is a way to go, just because of the difficulties in identifying individuals in the social space. Although some of the times that's easy, other times it's not. But it is giving you that other missing element of attitude, motivation, belief, which, along with behavioural data, transactional data, and all that good interactional stuff, all the traditional CRM stuff, that is the holy grail, I think. I think there's a way to go till it's achieved. I mean, my background, I'm a classical marketer, a database marketer who has always worked in known customer and attributes about a customer. Clearly, in the social space, you don't always know who the individual is, unless it's a community within your remit as an organisation. So we're now dealing in consumer data. We're dealing in vast quantities of unstructured data and trying to get meaning from data which has a whole multitude of risks. So typical linguistic analysis will say that if you're trying to get sentiment from a piece of text, humans will disagree about 18% of the time. So you can't expect machines to do any better than a human will. So there's a whole bunch of new techniques, a whole bunch of new challenges to make this really rich for business. And for many businesses, they're still at the stage of having a team of people who will monitor and respond. We're seeing now the movement to automating a lot of that monitoring stage and getting a much more consistent response as a result. Really, how to get under the skin of it. It's all very well listening and responding, but humans can interpret things in different ways. People can take things from their own viewpoint, which may change day by day by what's going on. So there's a risk of lack of consistency and coherence in response. And also, people are putting it in one part of a business often. There's this specialist team, and rather than saying, actually, this is relevant to the part of the business over here, the customer service part, or the product development part, or the marketing part, and actually thinking about how each part of the business needs to be involved in this social interaction. So yeah, the challenges really then are about getting consistent interpretation, so listening in a consistent way, understanding how to leverage that across the business so that it impacts where it needs to within the business, and then how to interact becomes the last bit. That is something we've seen a lot of businesses get very wrong, where they're trying to suppress, but equally done very well, is received incredibly positively by the community. I think they need to start from the perspective of why the customers put that data there. If they take into account that they, on the whole, are not the designed recipient for that information, and approach it with, I use an old-fashioned word, humility, in how they're using that information, and particularly when they get to an interact stage, then the likelihood is that they're going to be not falling foul of data protection legislation or privacy legislation, or in the banking world we see a lot of concern about the specific rules that they have to adhere to. So as long as you approach it from the point of view that the consumer has put this information online in a social space to share with their community, then we as an organisation can listen to that, but how we interact with that needs to be done in a way which aligns to how that information was provided in the first place. At a sub point, I do think we are going to see an evolution of legislation in this space. It's inevitable, really, because of the growth of what's going on. It's inevitable the legislators will get their fingers into the pie at some point. It is just another source of data. At the end of the day, it's more data about your customers, and therefore your approaches to what you do with that data within your business need to be exactly the same as they are for any other part of your business. So there's no point in getting overexcited about social media as something completely different. You've got to be tracking the same KPIs and driving to the same goals and using this data to support that, as you would anything else. Therefore, you need the same rigour in your approach. You've got to expect the same accuracy, and you've got to empower analysts to achieve that in the same way you would do with anything else. Otherwise, social media and social media analytics just stays as a little sideshow, and that's of no use to anyone ultimately.